In this demonstration, we'll be learning how to group and ungroup objects within a layer on the stage. Right now I've got three elements on the stage: a text element, a rectangle with a fill and a stroke, as well as a circle with a fill and a stroke. And if I look over to my layers panel here, I can see that they're all currently on a single layer called layer 1. Now I can expand this layer out to see the sublayers, which allows me to see the various elements within that layer. So if I expand it right here, I can see that here is my text layer called group. Here's the path, which is the circle, and the rectangle, again, which is the rectangular shape. This also denotes the stacking order. So the circle is above the rectangle, and the text element is above the other two elements. Now let me move these together here so that they actually are stacked. So I'll drag the group above the rectangle, and I'll drag the oval above the rectangle as well. And I'll just click away here. Now let's say I want these to become basically a single unit within my illustration. If I wanted to select them, I'd have to go in each time, and this is assuming nothing's around it right now. I could drag across them all to select them, and that would allow me to move them around as a single unit in unison. The other way to select more than one element is to go in and click on it. Again, I'm on the select tool. Shift clicking on the next element that I want to add to the selection, and continue to shift clicking until I've added all the elements I want to my selection. Again, the three elements have been selected, and if I click and drag, they move around as a single unit. Now it would be a bit inconvenient if I have to do this each and every time I wanted to move it around. So what I propose to do is to group them together. So highlighting them all once again here, shift clicking. I can go up to the object pull down menu and choose group. And as you see here, it's Command G on the keyboard. Now if I click away and I come back and select it with the selection tool, I can click on any of the elements and they all highlight as a single unit. Now I have what's called a group. You can also see here in my layers panel that it has bunched them together in a sub-layer with the word group in brackets. So I can actually click on that to expand it, and I can see what's within the group. Now another cool feature of the sub-layers is that I can actually change the stacking order by clicking and dragging them up or down. So let's say I want to put the rectangle above the circle. I can click on the rectangle sublayer and drag it, and you can see that little highlighter, and I'm putting it above the circle now, and lo and behold, it is now above the circle in the stacking order. And if I want to drag it back, I simply drag it downwards, and again the stacking order is reshuffled. It's a nice little power feature of the sublayers that I like to use. Now we're going to discuss how to select various elements within a group. If I'm still on the selection tool and I highlight it, as you see, everything gets selected. Let's say I want to just select the word group or the circle. Let me click away here for a second. I can do it through the layers panel. You can see here we've got these little targets, and if I click on the specific target, I can highlight whatever is associated with that target. So for example, if I want to highlight the word group, I can click on this target right here, and you can see that it is now highlighted. With my selection tool, I can go in and grab it without selecting anything else. If I want to choose the circle, I click on the path here, and it is now highlighted, and I'm allowed to move it without moving any of the other elements. If I want to select the whole group, I simply select the sublayer called group, and you see them all highlighted here. And in this case I would get the same effect by selecting everything on the layer, but if there were other things on the layer, they would be selected as well as the group. And basically that's how we can use the layers and sublayers to make specific selections within a group once it's been created. Another way to do it, which is a little more old school but is quite reliable, is to use the direct select tool. So if I go to Direct Selection Tool, it will always allow me to select the thing that I click on isolated from anything else. So for example, if I click on the circle here within the shape, I'm selecting the whole shape. Again, I can go in and be more specific and simply select the anchor within that shape and potentially change it, manipulate it, and so on. I'm going to undo those two last moves. And again, with the Shift key, I can do multiple sub-selections of the element and work with that. Again, if I select the rectangle within the shape, it highlights it. If I click and drag over an anchor point, it highlights that anchor point and isolates it. And with the text, I can simply click the text and it also gets selected without selecting other elements within the group. I always have the option to shift click to select multiple elements within the group as well. And I'm just going to move those two up. So basically that's how to use the Direct Selection tool to make selections within a group. One more way to do it, let me go back to my Select tool, would be to double click on elements and you would actually see a menu at the top showing the hierarchy. So if I double click on this, I've just clicked on the group. I've actually opened it up and I can go into that group now and select the single elements. If I want to go up that hierarchy, I'd have to click the back button or click the parent above it. Now I'm currently on layer 1, so if I click it, everything would be selected because it is a group on layer 1. I could double click it here. I'm inside the group all of a sudden, and it's like I'm inside the box, if you will, and I can use my selection tool as if nothing was grouped together. Again, to return to the normal state, I can simply click the back button until I'm at the top, and that submenu does disappear. So those are the basic 3 methods on how to select within a group. And once again, if I want to ungroup this, I highlight the group, I can go Object, Ungroup, and as you can see here, it's Command Shift G on the keyboard. So ungroup that, deselect by clicking away, and we're back to them being single unique items. So I highlight them all with my Shift key, Command G, or use the pull down menu, group. And those are the basics on grouping, ungrouping, selecting, and subselecting elements within the groups.